isn't it? So how to be free from the mind, how to go beyond mind, or how to go into the state of oneness when there is no mind. So your misunderstanding takes you to do something to the mind. Now look at the whole game of mind, that mind means a doer. A doer state. Whenever you are in a state of a doing, the doer exists there. The doer is mind. So even if you try to do something to the mind survives, isn't it? So how can you go beyond mind? How can you be free from the mind so far as you are doing something? You understand what I am saying? So if you are doing something whole life, doing something for becoming free from the mind, you still remain as a mind. So there is no freedom from the mind. So the whole truth that is expressed by the master is totally misunderstood. So again, the problem is also with the master, how to make you understand. Anything that he speaks is misunderstood. So this is a problem with all the masters, to make you understand. And whatever he says to make you understand is misunderstood. So out of this misunderstanding, all the religions have started. You get me what I'm saying? So what will you do? What will you do? D-O. So doing is the hindrance, and what will you do? What will you do?
I play.
You just do things totally.
So if you stop doing, you feel that you are not doing anything to get to it. So either you become lazy, or you remain into the confusion that what is the way out? What is the way out? So the one way out is to get this mind so tired of doing. Hello. Remember that? You can sit here.
Yeah,
Some people. Come here this side, so that I can see you. I'm not going to hit you. So this is the problem with all the seekers. This is the problem with all the seekers. And this is the problem with all the masters. So many masters have found a way out to create some devices so that he speaks in your language to make you so tired of doing. So they give you so many kinds of techniques, methods of meditations, or some kind of practices, so that you get so tired of doing. But the mind is very cunning. It doesn't want to get tired. So it goes on changing the techniques, the methods. Masters, mind tells you that you have been with one master so many years and you don't get anything. ના રહેવા દે.
બાલથી ખરાબ લાગે તો
Doesn't matter. બધું સારું છે. શું કહીએ? So you get tired with one master and your mind tells you that this master does not know. You don't say that I don't understand, but then you say this master does not know. Let us go to some other master. The other master also is putting you into some kind of technique method with the same understanding. But he speaks your language, that if you do this, you are going to get to this. So you misunderstand again that this master promises, and you go to that master. And you do something that he is asking you for a few years, and the same situation comes again with your mind, that you are not getting anywhere. So you start thinking that this also, nothing. So change it. So you go on changing the masters, the ashrams, the techniques, the methods. If you stay with one master and just go on doing whatever he is asking to do, he is making somewhere, he is working on you. Not in the direction that you are going to get to something, but in the direction of getting you tired to something. See, Osho was the most misunderstood person in this respect, because he gave the highest numbers of techniques and methods and meditations. Not that he promised you that by doing this you are going to get enlightened. But by doing this, if you stay with him and do whatever he is asking you to do, at one point you are going to get to that tiredness, total helplessness, hopelessness. Then you are ready to listen to something, what he is actually saying. But you don't have that much of patience. We do not have that patience. And this is the problem. You stay in the Buddhist monastery for how long?
Month and a half.
That's all. Then you got tired.
No,
You are just thinking that nothing is here.
it ended.
This is how the mind goes on playing. If look at the Buddhist monasteries, they ask these Buddhist monks to sit for 18 hours in the same place on meditation. Imagine the state of the body and the mind. See. Do it. That's why I tell my friends that if you really want to get to something, do 24 hours. Don't get up from your chair till you get enlightened. Come on. Do you have that much of patience? Nobody has that. This is where we all blame the masters, that this master does not know, this master is not taking me what I want. The whole problem is your want. You understand what I'm saying? The problem is with the mind, that it wants to reach somewhere, it wants to achieve something, it wants to become somebody. And when you say that oneness, that realization is not from here to there. It is something where you dissolve. You are finished. The mind which is desiring is finished. The ego that is demanding to reach, achieve and become somewhere is finished. And then puzzle is how? What is the answer? What is the way out? If you are little intelligent, not intellectual, but little intelligence to understand something, then it's very easy. I should. You can squeeze in, or maybe, Sonia? So if you really understand, not through your intellect, through your own availability, openness. You will understand that if I want to be free from mind, if I want to be oneness where there is no mind or into the state of no mind, then drop all the desires to do it. Now, even if I say drop all the desires to do it, it again creates a desire to do it. So, if you understand really the essence of what is being said, then don't convert this statement into any kind of doing. Understand the gist of it. That means do not create any kind of desire. I have made it little simple to say, not in a negative way, in a positive way I am saying that accept the way you are, where you are and what you have. And if you misunderstand even this statement that you have to make an effort to accept, doesn't matter. You see, doesn't matter. If you really make an effort to accept, it takes you to the right direction. Like if I tell someone that your running has no meaning at all, and he is convinced, then he asks me how to stop. And if he makes an effort to stop, doesn't matter. He at least stops. Though there is no effort which is required to stop. When all the efforts of running is stopped, automatically what happens is stopping. But even if you misunderstand and stop, it stops you there. So even if you make an effort to accept, it takes you to the state of acceptance. Acceptance means what? There is nothing that you are demanding now. Nothing that you want to become or reach or achieve. When you are not demanding now to become or to achieve or to reach, through the understanding of acceptance, automatically the doer resolves. Automatically. Because the desire just disappears. So far as there is desire, there is no acceptance. So I am trying to put it in a positive way. But saying the same thing what Osho said or Buddha said or anybody, it is the same. I have no patience to wait for you that you get tired at certain point and then ask me. I am very lucky that I get people who had done all the homework. So no need of going through all this process now. But still those who are new, I tell them to go back, finish the homework and come here. Otherwise you will misunderstand or you will become lazy. You will misunderstand that Kiran says no meditations, no technique, no methods, nothing to do. So why should I do meditations? Then they stop doing meditations and they reach nowhere. They are becoming lazy. I am not propagating the laziness. I am propagating somewhere you connect back to the life. Acceptance when you are into that state. What is now flowing is the flow of life. When you stop swimming, you start floating, isn't it? So the river has its own force. River has its own flow. So you are not going to be stagnant there. You are going to move. You are going to flow. But the flow is in the flow of river. Then you are not going to be lazy, but you are going to do something. But that doing will be in reference to what life is asking you to do. You are going to do something. From your side, all purpose of doing is finished because you accept the way you are, where you are and what you have. But the life is still moving and changing. It is flowing. It is asking you to respond. And that response means doing something. So you will be doing. And that is the expression of life. Only the dead people do not do anything. So far as you are living, expressing life, you are going to do something. And that doing will be in the flow of life, with the flow of life. Whatever life takes you up. It is like a dry leaf into the wind. Now the direction, the destination is decided by the wind. Which way this dry leaf is going to move. But the dry leaf has no purpose of its own, that which direction he wants to move. If the wind takes him up, it goes up. If the wind brings that leaf down, it goes down. So far as there is no wind, it stays there. Again the wind comes, again it goes up. This is how you start living. So there is going to be doing. People misunderstand this. But from inside, you are absolutely into the oneness, stopping. And that is called the witnessing. You understand? What Gurdjieff used to say about that oneness. Oneness is to be one with that connection with the life. The flow of life which looks separate into this physical form. Once you are disconnected with that mind which controls the physical activities, when this mind disappears, what remains is back to the connection, and that is the oneness. It is not oneness with something. It is coming back home, coming back to your natural state. Like dry leaf coming back to the ground again. It's taken up, taken down. This oneness with the flow of life. This is the oneness. Outwardly it looks there is a movement. But inwardly there is absolutely relaxation. Absolute relaxation. That outer movement does not disturb you there. Otherwise, all this movement that you do with the mind creates a reaction, creates a disturbance. And that is what this masters wants to share. When there is no mind, there is oneness. You understand? You were asking me. Gurdjieff said, when there is no mind, there is oneness. This oneness is not stagnancy. This oneness is not something which we misunderstand as a result of some doing. This oneness is our natural state. Is our natural state. Once we are in tune with life, in flow with life, in harmony with life, this harmony, this tuning is oneness, And that is the state of witnessing. You are aware that the life is asking you to flow somewhere. You are aware of what the life demands. You are very clearly aware of it. But there is no purpose behind it. The purpose is just to flow with it. Just to flow with it. Then life, wherever it takes you, whatever responsibility life gives you, you do it. But then you are not expecting something out of your own expectations, your own desires. You are just understanding the need, what life is asking for. And flow with it, flow with it. This oneness outwardly looks that you are active, you are functioning, you are working, you are moving. But inwardly, you are absolutely into the center. Absolutely into the center. That center does not get disturbed. And once you are into that center, there is no tension, there is no frustration, there is no suffering, there is no misery. There is just a relaxation, a dance, a song. A painful song, a joyful song, a happy song, an unhappy song, a sad song sometimes a joyful song. The way life decides. Then the whole search ends, the journey ends there. I hope I am clear. શું સ્વામીજી બોલો.
ગયા વખતે તમે વાત કરી કે જ્યારે માર્કેટમાં તમે જાઓ છો અને અલગ અલગ લોકોને દુકાનમાં જુઓ અને તમને એમ થાય કે ભાઈ જેને જે સુટેબલ છે એ જ વર્ક જાણે પરમાત્મા આપતો હોય અને એ જ એને હેન્ડલ કરી શકે કારણ કે એ જ રીતે ડેવલપ
એની ક્વોલિટી એબિલિટી એ પ્રમાણે.
તો એવી કઈ વસ્તુ છે જે માણસને પોતાના અંતર અવાજને નથી સાંભળવા દેતી અથવા એ યુનિકનેસનો એને ખ્યાલ નથી આવતો અને પોતે અટવાયેલો રહે છે, અથવા એવી કઈ કસોટી છે, કયા લક્ષણો છે કે જેનાથી એને ખ્યાલ આવે કે હું રાઈટ વે જઈ રહ્યો છું, અથવા જે સાંભળવાનું છે અથવા જે કંઈ પરમાત્મા મારી પાસે કરાવવા માગે છે પલ પલમાં કે કાર્યની રીતે કે વિશિષ્ટ રીતે એની ટ્યુનિંગની એને કેવી રીતે ખબર પડે? એવી કઈ કસોટી કે જેથી એને થાય કે હું બરાબર જઈ રહ્યો છું?
His question is, I translated to English. His question is, last time I was saying that when I go to the market and I see different shops and I see people sitting behind the counter taking care of that shop, then I feel like that God has such a beautiful management, beautiful organized system that everyone is given some work, and accordingly the life or the God has given that kind of knowledge, that kind of ability, that kind of capacity, that kind of quality of his being, and then he is asked to take care of that kind of, because life survives on the life. Then his question is, if this is so, then what is that which can bring again the awakening to these people, because they are unconsciously doing it. They are not aware that they have been chosen by the life. They are not aware. So what makes them awake to this possibility where they start understanding that what is the whole systematic, organized system of the life, and they start getting some thirst to understand. This is what the question is. So what makes them understand, or what creates that thirst inside? Is it your question?
Yes.
Whatever is given by the life, first, the ability, the quality, and the capacity of your being is basically misunderstood by the person as if he got it. He tries to understand, or he misunderstands as if it is the result of his achievement, his effort. The business that he is doing, the shop that he is there, he thinks that he has created it and he is taking care of the business. Somewhere he goes into this misunderstanding or unconsciousness, and this unconsciousness keeps this ego survive as if he is doing it, and he has a freedom to change it or to improve it or to live it. This ignorance brings the ego, brings the mind. But life wants him again and again to remind that this is not that you did it, but this is something which happened to you. And that is why during the course of the life creates certain hard hits on him. Something which he is so strongly attached to. Something he starts believing that this is mine and I have the freedom to change it, I have the freedom to control it. At certain point, life puts him in a situation where he has to realize that he is helpless. He cannot change it. He cannot do anything about it. this kind of situations when life brings to him. These are the situations where the life wants him to understand and wake up and realize that he is nothing but an instrument, a medium. So there are so many events in the life that wakes you up. But unfortunate part is at that time the mind does not allow you to wake up and again see the truth into its nakedness. To realize this reality that he has no freedom. He has no free will. And then he again goes back to his unconsciousness, compromising to the situation. And then accepting in the end, this acceptance is a compromise. And once he accepts the situation, he accepts whatever way the life brings him the results, whatever situations life puts him. Maybe life takes away all the money, he goes into bankruptcy. Maybe he realizes something that he was so strongly attached to something and it loses. In the end he accepts, but this acceptance from the mind does not allow him to wake up and look to the reality. So the same acceptance in the beginning which helps you to wake up and see the reality, the acceptance in the end from the mind puts back him to the unconsciousness. And that he just somehow adjusts himself. And during that time, the mind prepares again for the next fight. And then the whole life, he goes on with these situations. Out of these people, those who really have some intelligence left of his childhood, somewhere a capacity to question, to doubt, to see the truth into its nakedness, some intelligence is left. And again, these repeated experiences of life, repeated hard hits where he is again and again awakened to this reality, the fact, he starts again rethinking. Then out of this lot, very few people starts thinking, starts searching. But again the problem is the mind takes them to the belief, to the religious. So many people who are frustrated into the life becomes more religious. They are again going back to the wrong track of worshipping God, praying God, following some rituals, as if the God is the one who is there to decide about his destiny. If he pleases the God, then his problems will be solved. So again, he goes back with this whole game of mind. So even after that, look, these are the people who are totally unconscious. There is another group which is little awake, but they go into a wrong track of becoming religious people. If you really look to the people who are religious, they are the people who got little tired with the life. They are not people who are really questioning and wants to understand. And out of the lot of the religious people, there are very few people who starts questioning and understanding something, and then they take the spiritual path. They take the spiritual path. There also, they misunderstand again that spiritual journey means again doing something. So first, before, as a religious person, they were doing something outside, some rituals, some prayers to please something. Now, if they understand something from the religious books or from the talks of the religious masters, because in the religious books, some truth is revealed. So if somewhere they struck upon some truth and they start thinking that there is another way to get to this peace, get to this silence or relaxation, they take the inner journey which we call the spiritual life. There also there is a misunderstanding that spiritual life means doing something inside. It's the journey inside, the inner journey. First they get fed up with the outer journey of worshipping God, then they take the inner journey of finding out the truth, the inner peace, the inner silence, going beyond mind. Same mind game continues. And out of this lot of the spiritual people, there are few people who really understands, and then they reach to that enlightenment or the state of a Buddha. They really understand that spiritual life means to stop, to stay where you are. So what question was, how people get to this point of thirst inside, search inside. The first phase is by life events, shocks. Out of that, a group of people who become religious people, for there also, somewhere some reading some religious books, listening to some master, they get some hard hit from inside that this is not the way. Then they take the spiritual journey. There also, two ways, if they really keep them awake or they really get tired of all this, then there is a possibility of awakening. And that is why you will find very few people reach to this state of enlightenment or Buddhahood. Though it was available to all. It was not that these very few people had the chance to get to it. The awakening is our natural state. All people are sleeping and all people have chance to wake up. It is not that out of all people who are sleeping, only 2 or 3 people can wake up. No. It depends upon how you are interested into your dream, how deep and fast you are asleep, enjoying your dream, and sometimes the dream becomes nightmare. It is possible that you wake up. But this awakening should continue. If somebody gives you a new dream, you go back to the sleep and start dreaming a new dream. You see, because this dream became nightmare, you took another dream and again go back to the sleep and start dreaming a new dream. So these are the ways that life always puts you into some strong, hard hits. But who wants it? It all depends upon your childhood. How the parents, the teachers, the culture, the religion is successful in putting you into this strong sleep, making you absolutely unconscious, creating a strong mind. This is a conspiracy because the whole society, the structure of the society is the group of unconscious people. Otherwise, society cannot exist. If we want to continue with the society, the nation, then the unconsciousness should survive. So this is a very deep conspiracy between the politicians, between the religious masters, to put the child into the unconsciousness through teaching, through learning, through cultural samskar, whatever you call it. We are not at that moment aware that how strongly this impact of the social structure is happening on the mind of the children. And we are all victims of it. We are all victims of it. But some few escape. Some few escape. And they are the rebellious people, rebellious children. They escape. How does this escape happen depends upon your parents, the situation in your family when you are a child, the religion that you are born in, the culture that you are in, depends upon that. If your parents are little understanding, then they don't force their beliefs onto you, and they allow you to grow. You carry still that innocence. Innocence means the capacity to question, capacity to doubt, capacity to know by yourself. That is the sign of an innocence. Slowly, slowly the child loses the capacity to question, to doubt. Each point the child, if you look to the children, they go on asking you questions, they go on doubting anything. Every point they want an answer, and the wrong answers are given to satisfy the child. The forceful keeping the child quiet, they use so many means. And then by the child is given some goals, the idea of perfection, the comparison with the other people. Then it starts creating a division inside by dividing itself into something which he likes within him, something which he does not like. This is how it goes on. So then you are put into an unconscious state of mind where you are struggling so hard whole life to change that you don't like and to improve what you like somebody who has been given as an idea. We are not even aware of this fact that we have been put into this whole problem. And the division continues whole life. And with the division there is a longing which continues all along. Only this longing, the thirst is visible whenever you are cut off from this whole idea of becoming, and somewhere you are so much into the frustration that what is the way out? And then this longing is visible, this pain is visible, this thirst is visible. But then again the religion has such a strong structure that it pushes you into the wrong direction. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the situation. And this is not now, this has been since thousands of years. And it will continue like this. So far as there is no radical change, or if there is a mass happening of a Buddha, like a Buddha field, what Osho was dreaming, that each one is awakened, then there will be a new society, there will be a new religion, there will be a new man, where there will not be this kind of exploitation, this kind of psychological manipulation. Otherwise, we repeat the same. We repeat the same history again and again. Yes?
Then do you think it's possible a society with enlightened people? Because you said before, society has to be there, and conscious people has to be there to keep the system like this, no? I understood something like that.
As it is, the society is created with this unconscious kind of people, very cunning and clever unconscious people. They rule the society. But if the awakened people, the Buddhas are in majority, then the society will be different. The society will not be the way you look to the society. Maybe a different name. Maybe a different name. I don't know what way the society will be. But that will be a different society where each individual is walking by himself, not holding each other's hand and asking each step that what should I do? How should I live my life? Each one will have their own understanding, his own clarity to know it. So there will be a dependency, but not the slavery. You understand the difference? Now there is a slavery. You are a slave to so many things. You are chained. You don't see the chains that is bound to your neck. Invisible chains that we carry. There will not be a chain there in that new society. All enlightened people will be free. So that will be a free society. But society means not that what we are now living in. This is not that society which is going to be repeated. So everybody will understand their own responsibilities. The shops will be there, the market will be there, but each shop will be controlled by an enlightened person who understands that this is my job, my work. This is not a burden. Ask anyone and go to the shop, he doesn't like his work. Ask any person who is doing a job, he doesn't like his job. He is always thinking that the other man doing job is better than mine. If the enlightened society happens, each one will be worshipping as if this work is worship. Each one will not run away from the responsibility. And that will be the beauty of it. See. But that day will come. Let's hope so. I hope I give you the answer, maybe in a different way. This is what Osho was trying to create, a Buddha field. Not the society of slaves, but the society of free people. Yes?
I said it's not that at all.
Not that at all. Unfortunately. But this dream will definitely will be realized one day. It was not a dream, it was his vision. And when these enlightened masters have some vision, they see something which is already a part of the future. So one day it will be there. It is not something that it should be now. It should be now. His whole effort will not be a waste. Will not be a
And
waste.
the work is on, how we are
Yes.
gathering here.
Yes. It's not going to be a waste, understand? Yes?
How can you match destiny with free will?
How can you match destiny with free will?
Can they exist both?
Outwardly it is the same. Destiny means, if you really understand, it makes you understand the whole understanding of free will. Free will means the day on which you realize there is no freedom of will, there is a free will. And once you understand there is no freedom of will, and when there is a state of really free will, freedom from the will itself, then you will understand the meaning of destiny. Destiny means the destination decided by the life where you are supposed to go. Either you like it, you don't like it, you have to move. Destination decided by the life itself. The path towards the destination is what we call the destiny. So this destiny which is decided by the life, the path which is decided by the life which you are going to move, and you are going to reach somewhere, you are going to achieve something, and you are going to become somebody. But not the way you like it, the way life wants it. This is the destiny. So then, if you really understand that everything is a part of happening, including all doing which is a part of happening, then you will understand the whole meaning of free will. Your misunderstanding of free will is whether there is a free will where you have a freedom to do something against the destiny. This is what misunderstanding means. Your question, somewhere it is something like this, that is there any freedom to change, to improve, to reach, to achieve, to become, according to the way you like it, not the way destiny is. Right? But the meaning of the free will is the same understanding. When you understand, then you will be free from that will part, which is the desiring part. And that is the real free will. So, in reality, in truth, if you really understand through the mind, mind does not accept, mind does not like, mind does not understand that there is no freedom. There is no free will. Mind does not like it. Because the moment you say yes to the way life takes you, the mind disappears. It does not exist. Doing from the mind only exists when you have a goal into the future, a purpose into the future, a desire into the future. If there is nothing that you desire with your understanding that this is what the life is, and this is how the whole movement of life is, and you just connect with it, in that connection, you accept it, then there is freedom from the mind itself. Freedom from the mind itself. So your question, if I answer, there is no free will so far as the destiny is concerned. But I am not speaking about destiny, the meaning that the coward people understands. When they are tired of doing something, they are not successful, when they reach to that state of hopelessness and helplessness, they say it was not into my destiny. Then they use this word destiny as a consolation. I am not saying destiny is a consolation. Destiny is something which is real, which is the truth, which is the reality, which is fixed for each individual by the life itself. And we are all moving in this path of destiny. The destiny to you, destiny to him is different. He is moving in his own path of destiny, you are moving in your path of destiny. Maybe your paths sometimes cross each other, sometimes goes little together, but each one has to move the way life takes you. And this is the resistance from the mind that I don't want it. I want my own way. And that fight creates a frustration inside. That fight creates a tension inside, a holding back inside. And this is the whole pain and suffering inside us, which is I call the psychological suffering. Psychological suffering is not the real suffering. There is a real suffering which comes along with your path of destiny, which is offered by the life itself. Life is not all the time goody-goody. Life is sometimes bringing pain, sometimes joy, sometimes happiness, sometimes unhappiness. This is the way life moves. It is the change and movement. This is the nature of life. This change and movement is coming sometimes as the reaction of pain, reaction of joy. This is natural. But the inside misunderstanding where we resist to accept this pain or we want to possess this joy for a permanent way, this resistance creates a tension inside. That tension is a psychological tension which is not really exist outside as a reality. It is existing inside as the illusion. And we are all suffering into this illusory suffering, which is not the truth.
અરે વાહ.
So this is not the truth. And our problem is this illusory suffering, illusory tension, illusory pain. And when it is an illusory pain, there is no real answer. There is no real solution to it. So what brings a solution is the right understanding of the destiny, is the right understanding of the happening. If you really flow with it, if you connect with it, then you will be free from this illusory psychological suffering.
So, Kiran, is there a time, like the destiny will get there, we'll do what we need to do, but we can, if we fight it, we can make it take longer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But that taking longer in the meaning of life does not have any any importance of any
Just
kind.
more suffering.
That's all. You are
Suffering.
extension of your suffering. That's all. Like you are in the flow of a river, you are having a freedom to swim here and there, but you have no freedom to go away from the flow. So that destiny is the destination where the flow is going. You see? So you have no freedom to go out of the flow. You have a freedom to move here and there through swimming. So the more you swim, you are getting yourself more miserable, more tired. And if you think that you have freedom to swim against this flow, then you get more tired. And this is what the whole story of life is. He is saying, can't you understand these simple things? I am living this way. Chalo, let's spin out.
दूध पीने
Spin out. Go.
I want to sit here.
You want to sit?
અરે વાહ એની મેળે ઉતરશે
પપ્પા ઉઠીને મને કે મારા આખીનો સત્સંગ મારા દાદાના ખોલામાં બેસું
So, you want to give satsang?
No.
You know, in the United States, so many books, so many things have been written about the fact that we create our own reality.
We?
Create our own reality. That nothing exists out there unless we create it. That by us seeing it, thinking of it, then it becomes our reality. And then we create what it is. So that's exactly like the same way, it's just flowing.
So, you are only clear of the next step, that's all. So, what we claim as the realization of some reality or something, I don't know whether I understood your question properly. Because maybe if you speak a little louder then...
Yeah, that we create our own reality.
We create our own reality, okay. So that reality,
So whatever happens to us is what we have created for ourselves, good or bad.
you mean, what do you mean by reality? What do you mean by reality?
Whatever
The
it
life.
is, whatever it is,
Life.
yeah.
So,
You are responsible for your connection.
yeah, that is what I am saying, that
No, but nobody does it for us. We create it.
It's our own creation.
We create
Yeah,
it.
that's-
We're the doers.
we are the viewers,
The doers.
doers.
We're the creators of our own reality.
What do you mean by reality? I don't understand the meaning of reality. Reality means the way you see this whole world, or the way you see the life.
The way we see our own life. Our own life.
Okay, so that is not the reality actually. The way you see your own life is an illusion.
Right.
See, that is not the reality. So if you again put your statement that we create our own reality, means we create our own illusion. See, the reality cannot be created, one point. Reality means the way it is. If you are able to see the reality, not create reality, see reality in its own pure form, the way it is, the idea of creating, the idea of reaching, achieving, or becoming does not exist anywhere. Because then you are awake to this fact that there is nothing there. There is nothing there. So far as you have something there, it is an illusion. It's an illusion. It is not the reality, actually. But so far as you are living into this unconsciousness, all these dreams is a reality. The one who is sleeping does not know that the dreams are dreams. For the one who sleeps, the dream is a reality. Isn't it? Dream is a reality. But the moment you wake up, you realize that it was just a dream. It does not have any kind of existence. It was an illusion. So this awakening makes you understand that it was an illusion. But so far as you are thinking that it is a reality, we create our own reality. So far as you misunderstand, it is a reality for you. And in that real world around inside you, we are all living into that whole illusory world, which we believe that it is a reality. It is not the reality. The beginning is the way I know myself. If you say that you are a woman, I say I am a man, that is my reality and this is your reality. But that is not the reality, it is an illusion. You understand? You believe that you are a woman, I believe that I am a man, is my illusion. If you wake up to this reality, you will understand that that was your illusion. You have a female body, I have a male body. I am not a man and you are not a woman. So this reality which was there before, and around this reality that I am a woman, I have my family, I have my house, I have all my what you believe, which is yours, which you think it is real, which is not the reality. It is an illusion. It does not belong to you. It is not yours. So once you wake up to this actual reality, this false reality which we carry just disappears. Just disappears.
Except that they teach you how to go steps, how to go about creating your reality and how to create things to happen.
That is what is called the self-inquiry. The real meaning of the self-inquiry is step by step you start asking yourself, am I this? The reality which I believe, the reality which you think which is yours, which is you, which is around you, you start questioning, you start asking step by step. And once you get the clarity of each step, you will understand that the reality is something else. The reality is something else. So this is what is called the self-inquiry. Self-inquiry does not mean that to ask yourself, who am I, with a reference to the answers that you already have, that I am Brahman, I am Paramatman, and you are somewhere waiting for that experience to come by asking yourself, who am I? You already have the answer. That is also an illusion. You are not a Brahman, you are not a Paramatman, you are not any label. The moment you disappear, the one who questions, the questioner disappears, all the idea, the knowledge about what you have understood before disappears. What remains is this reality, the reality of now. This now, what is creating the sensation, is the reality. What we impose through these frames of knowledge on this reality is my illusion. And this illusion is not visible because we are so identified with these whole frames that it does not allow me to see the very reality. And this is what all the masters say, that here now. The truth is here now. The reality is here now. Are you seeing the truth as it is? Here now. Can you be here now? You cannot be. So this is the reality. And that reality which the mind has, which is the illusion. I hope I am making it clear. Yes?
Let's see that. The other pupil mind,
Pardon?
the mind of other people, like, okay, I might, well, how to say, the mind